Hey guys, my name is Frank. Today I'm going to do a deep dive on expediting, what it is, what it means. I've talked about this, but I'm going to go a little deeper this time because just finished up in fleet owners meeting and got to meet some great people and some great discussions. And it was information that I thought that I could share with you and bring back and explain some of the challenges on the carrier side and the shipper side and how it affects things in this industry. Before I get started, a lot of people are interested in coming to join us. They would like to do this type of work. It's team trucking, it's expedited, so you're working in a very different type of truck with a big sleeper. But if that's something you're interested in doing, you can email me. If it's something you want to talk to me about this, you want to find out more about it, it's something that you're interested in, there's something that you haven't had a question answered, just reach out to me. Email me and we'll go from there. There are three components that make up expediting. The first one is door-to-door service. Door-to-door, simply explained, we're going to pick up at the origination of the shipper, the person who has the product in hand. Most freight is at a terminal or something like that. That's usually not what we do. Sometimes we do that, but we will usually go to a business and we will pick up freight at the person who has just created it, made it, produced it, whatever, and has to get it out, or they're the distributor for it. And it's usually not some big place, but it can be a small office. It could be a big distribution warehouse. But we pick up the freight and then we take it to usually the end user, to the person that's going to use that product. First component is door to door. Number two component, put on my glasses, sorry about that, is time definite. To explain time definite, I want you to understand that the carrier is going to give the customer a 15-minute window. If they say it's going to be there 1 p.m. Eastern, within 15 minutes of 1 o'clock, that freight will be at their door. And it doesn't matter if it's 2,000 miles or if it's 200 miles. It's going to be time definite. Well, also, what comes along with that, in that time definite, is the on-time performance of that freight. The carriers that we work with, FedEx Custom Critical, they have an on-time performance of over 95%. That's better than you're going to get with any other service that I can think of. Even part of the family, the envelopes sometimes don't make it that fast. And the last part is, which makes all of this possible, is how do we make it door to door? How do we make it time definite? How do we guarantee these things? The carrier gives the customer who's shipping their freight exclusive use of that truck. So NASTech wants to make sure that this MagBuddy gets to a customer that needs it right away, and they're going to lose millions of dollars if it doesn't happen. And they want to know where it is every step of the way. Our truck is going to go out, and this little box is the only thing we're going to pick up. We're going to take it across the country with team service, and we're going to get it to them. Now, of course, I'm just using this as an example, but I want you to understand that no matter if it's something this size, which yes, I've picked up envelopes and taken them in the truck, or it could be as much as 15,000 pounds. Nothing else is going to go on the truck except that customer's freight. So you have something that you need, you're a shipper, and you need something, and you need a guaranteed time that it's going to be delivered, and you want it delivered to a very specific location, picked up from a very specific location, and you want to control that freight, know where it's at all times. This is the service for you. So now this is where I'm going to go into a little bit more of a deep dive on this. Who needs this type of service? There's several types of companies and agencies, government agencies, that need this type of service. Regulated industries. There's a lot of government regulated industries, such as the FDA. We do temperature loads, and we have different levels of temperature services. We have validated, we have temp assured, and they all come with different levels of guarantees. The FDA a lot of times requires that a lot of pharmaceutical freight be shipped in this manner because we're capable of doing it properly. A lot of hazmat freight. Hazmat is one of those hot button topics that tends to scare a lot of new drivers that don't understand. Because you say the word hazmat and all of a sudden they see some biohazard big yellow suit and people coming out and spraying. If I ship batteries across the country, that is hazmat. It's that simple. Can it be something scary? Absolutely. It's usually the most protected freight there is. It's not one of those things that if you're thinking about this and you're sitting on the fence, it's not one of those things that should scare you. because it's really not as serious as the word sounds. The word tends to be a little intimidating, and it shouldn't be. Government. The government has its own freight that has to be shipped. A lot of it's Department of Defense, military, and I know they coincide, in other words, but sometimes it's different divisions. Also, high value freight, things that you normally are worried about mixing with cardboard boxes. You don't want your $1 million pallet of cell phones going with $100 box crate of pre-folded boxes, things like that. Now, so that explains who needs this type of service. Now I want to go into why they need it. Sometimes there is critical need for freight. Now, critical need can be defined by a vast array of definitions, but critical need is critical to the person that is probably receiving that freight. And it's something that for some reason they need that freight in a timely manner and controlled manner that it's going to affect their business in another way, shape, or form. Loss of production is one of those things. That is a critical need. Sometimes you might have, let's say this pen, okay? Let's say this pen is a whatchamajigger, and this whatchamajigger goes in a big giant machine, and this little whatchamajigger is causing that machine not to work. And that machine not working is costing the company a bunch of money, more than what it costs to ship the whatchamajigger to get there. That is another reason they might need it. A lot of times, freight penalties. A lot of people don't realize that's a thing. And there are certain companies that if they don't meet the time allotted when the freight is supposed to be there, there are chargebacks and there are penalties. And sometimes these are paid by the carrier, sometimes they're paid by the shipper, and sometimes they're incurred by the receiver. So that is another thing that can go into why they need it. Here are the challenges. Logistics. Logistics of this type of freight can come with its own set of challenges and goes into the cost of this type of freight. Trucks with the correct qualifications and or equipment that can make the pickup on time. Is it a temperature load? What's the weight of the load? Is the truck, is the equipment the right type of equipment to carry that much weight? Is there a hazmat or tanker endorsement required? And do the drivers have those qualifications? Is there security required on this load? Do the drivers have the training and the qualifications to carry that type of freight? Is there a lift gate required? Some places we go don't have docks, and we have to unload the freight, and we have to have a lift gate to do that. It's a very expensive piece of equipment, and that gets charged for. Do we need blankets and pads? Do we need to strap it down and give extra layers of protection to whatever's being shipped? Do we need a pallet jack when we're picking up or delivering, or both? And so all of these things that I'm explaining to you, they go into the relative cost of this freight. And in relation to LTL or truckload and things like that, it's much, much more expensive. The customer sees the cost and has to decide and justify whether it's worth the cost. And that always depends on a lot of these different little factors. And what I'm talking about is some of these things I've been talking to you about, which I've already talked about, loss of production. This doodad is making the big doodad not work, and it's costing the company $100,000 a day in lost production. Does it matter? And I'm just going to use a number, and it's $10,000. If it costs $10,000 to get that freight there and the size, and it costs $10,000, but you can control it and you can guarantee your boss and all of the workers and everybody else and everybody up the line that the machine's going to be working again, and production of $100,000 a day starts up, or $1 million a day, or whatever it is, that magic number, then the $10,000 cost to get it there doesn't matter. But somebody inevitably is going to see that cost, usually a logistics manager, and they're going to say, why did we spend $10,000 on this doohickey? And then somebody has to answer that question and justify it. Is there a chance of a high value freight claim? Some pharmaceutical, machinery, electronics, materials. There's a lot of things like that. If you can have a freight claim, they want to diminish their risk by shipping it through a very qualified carrier such as FedEx Custom Critical. I want you to understand that we're doing the exact same job. We're just going to do it a lot more efficiently. like I said, then the 95% on-time delivery, over 95%, you're lucky to get in the 50% range on LTL and truckload. And it usually has to go somewhere else and somebody has to touch it and there's a lot of hands on it. With us, it's going to be the drivers, they're going to pick it up, and the same drivers are going to deliver it, unless there's equipment breakdown and we have to recover the load. The carriers have the ability to reach out and do that. Is the freight mandated by another agency that says it has to be shipped expedited? The FDA can say, yeah, you can ship this. It's going to be injected into somebody's body. You have to ship it this way. The military, the Department of Defense, they want to control how their freight is shipped. They can mandate that freight has to be shipped through our type of service. Insurance, the person that's insuring that freight, the carriers have their own insurance, the trucks have their own insurance, but sometimes the freight is such of a high value nature that these companies have to have additional insurance on this freight. And once you buy additional insurance on something, they're going to tell you how they want it handled and how they want it done. It's really important to understand that insurance does things in a certain way where it's the less amount of risk to them. And they trust this type of shipping for these type of high value products. So they can say, yeah, we'll insure it, but you're going to ship it this way. Now, the challenge that the carrier faces, and why I said are shippers scared of expediting, is this expense. It's a much bigger number on a piece of paper, and you have to justify to the person that is your boss why the doohickey was $10,000. It is one of those hot words that in the industry that when they see expedite or expedited or expediting, that it tends to scare people and it tends to make people go, oh, I can't do that. I'm going to lose my job. If you don't do it and you cost your company $100,000 a day of production in a 10-day period, $1 million versus a $10,000 shipping, that's when I think you should be fired. And it's not about that, but everybody has to justify what they're doing to somebody else, especially these big corporations. And it's something that happens all the time. I hope this explains expediting. I hope it's something that you can use and it sheds some light on this industry that we're in. Once again, if you are interested in becoming an expediter, you have a teammate, you are thinking about doing this, you can email me and we can talk about this. And maybe it's something that you want to do. Maybe it's a change in lifestyle, change in pace that you want. And it is definitely something that I am enamored with. I love this industry, and I think you can tell that by my videos. Hope you guys are doing good out there. Stay safe. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. I hope that you found some information that you could use. If you're interested in more videos like this, check out this video right here. And if you're interested in expediting or trucking, or you have any questions, make sure you check out the link below.